What's up, Damien? I was just trying to go live off. I had got a new camera with GoPro, and I was just trying to go live off of that. Uh, it just has terrible connection. Basically, if I'm not on the Wi-Fi, that junk ain't feasible. But the camera quality is really good on this thing. But I got to be connected to a Wi-Fi, because I tried to do it off my hotspot, and yeah, if you saw the last, I don't know how long that thing was, 30 seconds, a minute, whatever it was. I oops, I just don't even really know how to work this thing, but the quality wasn't good, man. The quality wasn't good. Hey, what's up, Garcia, Robert? I know I'm not the best looking dude, man. I know. Tyler was good. Peter, what's up, man? It's been a minute, man. It don't really be nothing to talk about, man. I gotta admit, from a content standpoint, it might be better for FSU to be trash again, because I don't. Everything's going good, man. Ain't nothing to talk about. We doing things the right way. I need Norvell to. No, let me stop. Let me stop. Keep doing what you're doing, Mike. I don't need you to start losing games. But the content came. There's more to talk about when the content was trash. Jeff, what's up, great? Now it's like, bruh, you look across the state and everybody else is dealing with all this dysfunction. And now Florida State is, well, the FSU is poor jokes don't even make sense no more, do they? I mean, we could talk about Mike. Um, I really didn't want to talk about anything. I just was bored on my lunch and was like, man, let's see what y'all up to. Because I didn't go live Wednesday because there was just nothing to talk about. You feel me? And there's really still nothing to talk about. Um, Now it's like Mike got an extension. What, eight, a little bit over 8 mil a year or something like that. Um, Talk about Miami and Cristobal debacle of coaches. See, that's another thing. What's going on in Panama? But that's another thing. Like, I don't even want to waste time and energy on rehashing the same stuff that I said last year about that Miami job. Right? I don't even want to rehash how I told Miami fans that Steele, now to Steele's credit, Steele got another job at Bama. I think Saban took Steele just because of the that's a tough word, familiarity, or whatever the hell that means, or however you pronounce that. Um, you know, but man, they went from having, the Avengers as a coaching staff to they literally don't have a staff at this moment. So it's been ridiculous over there. But again, I don't even want to waste time talking about them. Let Miami fans tell lies on their behalf. I don't even want to waste time talking about them. I did see that Terrence Brooks got that job, and that's dope. Hopefully that sets up a nice connection and pipeline to Florida State. No, Timmy, I ain't even really mentioned the extension. I think it's a good move. I think I think people that are being negative about it. Here's the thing. Here's the deal. I don't even think like this move is some grand master plan. Or I said this 2 weeks ago. At the end of the day, the market was flipped. right? At the end of the day, when Texas A&M took Jimbo Fisher, the coaching market was set. And if you look ever since then, the going rate for a top-notch coach or one of the premier coaches or a coach at a Power 5 program, a major Power 5 program at that, $8 million is the base number. So ultimately, I have zero issue with Florida State paying Mike Norvell his market value. That's ultimately what this boils down to. Is they're only paying Mike Norvell his market value. What the market is. Nothing more, nothing less. It's no type of grand scheme or anything like that, or at least in my opinion, it's just you're paying him what he's worth. And at the end of the day, it's obvious that I think we all kind of knew he wasn't going anywhere anytime soon anyway. So since you weren't going to get rid of him, I think Mike could have won 7 games this year, and they still weren't going to get rid of him. So you erase all doubt. You give him the extension. You pay him what he's worth. So all that negative recruiting they were using prior to this last season of, well, no one knows if Mike's going to be there in the long term, all that's done. You pay him his money. You give him an extension. No one can no longer say, you don't know if Mike's going to be there in 2 or 3 years, because yes, he is. And it also kind of eradicates the possibility of, let's say Mike gets this thing like really going. Let's say this train gets moving at 100 miles an hour, and every expectation we expect comes to fruition. It might be a pipe dream, might not be. Nothing. Everything's a possibility in 2023. And let's say he accomplishes all these goals. Well, you also make the asking price bigger in case a team will try to, unless Texas A&M 2.0 was to try to happen again, right? You make that price tag that much bigger. So at the end of the day, from a business standpoint, the move makes sense. The only knock you could, I think, only feasible knock you could have on it is the man worth that after one winning season? And I get the question, but again, it's the market value. You're gonna pay the man what he's worth. And if you really, at the end of the day, if you really believe in a guy, you're gonna pay him what he's worth. I got you, Jeff. Jeff says, 8.5 mil. No, I think that was a shot at Miami with 8 million, coach. A little bit, but this is the day and age of college football coaches today. Well, I think you can definitely look at the extra $500K or whatever it is as a little dig at Miami, but again, going rate. What's up, Pat? What's up, Montre? Dang, bro, hope you feel better. You had a bunch of stuff wrong with you that I can't even pronounce. Hope you feel better, man, for real, though. I thought it was better to extend him now than wait till next season, because if you go 12-0, one season out of the SEC or Big 12 schools, probably would have paid him more than $8 million to poach. The boys down, Coral Gables hurt. I think Mike Norvell also hired Mr. Surtain and possibly a backup plan for DC. Not saying Adam Fuller is on the hot seat, but Mike is thinking ahead. Well, to your point, I don't know if that's like a real thing, but just to talk about more so to what the extension means, and this point that you bring up, I also think when you decide to pay that coach that much money, also shows that I think now we're gonna go to start investing in everything around him, right? You've paid your guy, you showed he's your guy. Now, because I feel like this offseason we've kind of gotten away scot-free. It's still the offseason, and anything can still happen in this time frame. And when I say scot-free, not a lot of big coaching moves have happened. I mean, nobody lost an ounce of sleep when Woodson departed. Matter of fact, that was on everybody's wish list, right? Getting rid of Woodson. So nobody lost any sleep there. And other than that, nothing's happened. Nobody really came calling for Atkins. So we're going into the next season with staff fully intact. But I don't think that's the case this next offseason. Right? So not only do you show that you're willing to pay your head coach, but let's say, I don't know, Atkins does go somewhere else after this year, right? If FSU's offense continues what they did this past season, and the offensive line is one of the better units in the country, a team will come calling for Alex Atkins. I think it also shows a potential replacement offensive coordinator, or maybe Fuller. I mean, hell, if the defense continues its trajectory, who's to say a team won't try to go for Adam Fuller? I mean, y'all like to criticize Fuller, but again, his defense has done nothing but improve leaps and bounds since he's been here. Who's to say a team won't come calling for Adam Fuller or Randy Shannon or something like that? Or maybe you just start getting rid of guys and look to upgrade. That's also a possibility as well. I think it shows potential would-be replacements. FSU is willing to put out some money. I think that's what it shows as well. So. Tim says, with all that happened to Jimbo from FSU to A&M, looking back at the hiring, was it a good hire for FSU to hire Jimbo at? You mean it was a good hire for A&M to hire Jimbo at that time? Is what you're asking? With all that happened to Jimbo from FSU to A&M, looking back at the hiring, was it a good hire for FSU? I think you mean TAMU. And I would say, yeah. I would still say if TAMU felt Jimbo was their guy, I think it's easy to look at it now and say, no, man, obviously it was a dumb hire. And if you really dig into it, yeah, there's some red flags with the Jimbo Fisher hire, obviously. But you can't knock a guy who had, 3 years before that, or 3 or 4 years before Jimbo leaving, he was a national championship. Like, yeah, I mean, you fork over that money. I don't think it was a bad thought process from TAMU. The problem is, I don't know if they really did their homework. Well, I think he's proved to be on par. I don't know if he's proved more. Unless you count his Memphis days, I don't know if I would go to the lengths of saying he's proved more. He hasn't proved more than a Brian Kelly or some of these other coaches that or Lincoln Riley. Like, these guys have made the college football playoff. These guys have made national championships. In terms of Brian Kelly, I know he lost, but he still made it. So I won't say he's proved more, but you can say maybe some of those other tier guys that he's at least proven to be on par. I think it shows FSU is committed to big boy football, and it will help with recruiting. Somebody gotta come pick up Fuller. Norville Central, how you been? Long time no talk, man. How you been? Please let somebody come and call for Fuller. Defense is trash against offenses with the pulse. I know that's a narrative y'all like to keep putting out there. Offenses with a pulse. God forbid good offenses actually do good things. Kind of crazy. Jeff with a $20 donor. Appreciate you again, Jeff. He says, I think Mike is winning a national title. I think if recruiting can stay somewhere in the top 10, even a little under top 10, like 11 or 12, you can fill the... Well, I've always said, and to your point, Jeff, give me top 15 classes. If you continue your success in the portal, top 15 class, and what you don't get in the class, you can go dig into the portal and find immediate impact guys. I think that's a winning formula. That's essentially what kind of Michigan has done. Now, they haven't won anything in terms of championship, but they've won their conference, and they've been in the playoff 2 years straight. And I think Harbaugh's recruiting in the top 15, nothing more. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying from all the fiasco that happened with his. Do you think? So are you saying that should FSU have hired Jimbo at the time that we hired? I mean, absolutely. If that's what you're asking, yeah, it was definitely worth hiring Jimbo. For one, you brought him in as the OC. He had time to sit behind Bobby, get the relationships. I mean, there's no coincidence that when he took over, FSU's trajectory started going drastically up. So if you're asking, so basically, if you're asking me, was the 2013 worth what everything else that happened? Yeah, I'll take the Natty. And even though the decline happened after that, I'll take the national championship in 2013, the Jameis Winston experience, the Heisman, the Dalvin Cook experience. I'll take all of that, even with everything that happened after 2016. Yes, I would take that. It was worth it, in my opinion. Biggest things dropping right now are the viewership numbers. FSU carrying this conference. You see, they're the highest viewed team in the conference. And that's even with Clemson being the conference carrier in terms of on the field, if you want to be honest. FSU is still the biggest brand in the ACC. Ain't that wild? Ooh, I think Alex is already making, if he's not, what is Alex making right now? I think 900, 1.5, but if you really want to keep him, 1.5 would be the raise. I think Alex is making about 900 right now. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, yeah. So absolutely, if you're talking about those guys, you're absolutely right. He's right on par. If not, he's better than Sunbelt Billy. If we're just keeping it a bean. Mario had success out at Oregon, but before that, I mean, we've talked about Mario at length. So yeah, he's right on par with and definitely a Mel Tucker, who's really been a one-hit wonder, if we're being honest at this point. So no, yep. If you're talking about those second-tier guys, you're absolutely correct. I don't think so. I think you're paying him what he's worth. $2 million a year for an OC that doesn't call plays, I don't know. And I'm as big as an Alex Atkins fan as anyone. But I'm not sure. If you're giving Alex Atkins $2 million a year, I think you put more responsibilities on him in terms of play calling. And I do think at some point Alex will want to prove. Ultimately, I think for Atkins to get the job that we see in his future, he may have to take over those play calling duties just to see if he can do it or not, or what's going on, Chris? How you been? You know I'm always down, man. Especially in, the content should pick up definitely once spring practice gets here and all that, but we're kind of in the dead zone right now because FSU's doing everything right in this off season. Spending money the right way. No crazy insane transfer portal guys have hit that we weren't expecting. Like, yeah, ain't nothing to talk about. At least, crazy. If anything, like I said, I can just keep getting on here and we can just keep dreaming about the 23 season that is to come. But I think that would get boring real fast. Which is so I don't like to just do videos for the sake of doing videos. That's just how I am. I actually want to have something to talk about. So I just don't want to get on here and rehash the same talking points week in and week out. Hey, what do y'all think we're going to do in 23? What's the expectation? What has to happen to, we talked about that at length. And we still have March, April, May, June, July. We still have 6 months to talk about the season that is to come. What do you think of that dream team falling apart in Miami? I mean, come on, bro. Go watch my videos this time last year about Mario and that staff. Nothing's changed since then. Mario, to me, ain't what everyone say he is, and the only thing that I will say is I didn't know about Gaddis, right? But if you actually go back and watch what I said I don't know how good Gaddis is or is not, but I question how his system would fit TVD. Sure enough, the system did not fit TVD. But pretty much everything I said last year about Miami came to fruition, which is actually kind of crazy. Yep, spring practice starts shortly. It's right around the corner. I'll be at the more during the spring. Got to be crazy 2014 cycle considering success. I hope so. One thing I love about Mike Norvell is why do you have to replace a coach? He always. I agree. I agree. Mike has been, but he did that at Memphis. So I don't know if we should be surprised, but he did the same things at Memphis. Mike, and people question the Tony Tokars thing, right? They thought we should go out and get some big name, and no, he stuck with what Mike stuck to his guns, and he called up Tony, gave Alex the promotion, and I mean, arguably just worked to perfection, He's got us going in the right direction, but he still has only one good winning season. I don't see how that amount to what he's worth. So when I say what he's worth, I just mean what his market value is. Meaning, what is Mike Norvell? How much do you have to pay for a decent coach in today's game? And like Tyler brought up earlier, when you compare him to his contemporaries, the Mel Tuckers, the Mario Cristobals, the Billy Napiers, he's accomplished more, if not the same, as those individuals. And all of those individuals are getting paid roughly the same amount of money. So when you do, again, Texas A&M reset the entire coaching market when they did the heist with Jimbo Fisher. And ever since then, that has been the going rate for college coaches. He's simply getting paid what he's worth. Now, whether or not you think he's worth that, or whether or not his win-loss record dictates whether he's worth that, is a discussion to have. But again, when you compare him to his contemporaries, it's hard to justify, well, Mike, we're going to keep paying you $4 or $5 million, but the guy down south who you beat 45-3 is getting $4 million more than you. Right? It's hard, if you're having that conversation with Mike Norvell, I don't see how you can justify that. And the other guy in Central Florida, in Gainesville, is making $4 or $5 more million than you. That's really the biggest news, man, is Mike Norvell's extension. You feel me? Other than that, we just waiting for the spring. I'm very intrigued and interested in this spring. I'll say that. You guys know me. What I look for in the spring, I don't think the spring amounts to wins or losses. But you do get to see. I'll be interested to see who gets the nod at certain positions starting the spring, and just overall development of certain players. I'm interested to see the rotations and how guys are entering this year. I don't think wins and losses are, I don't think you win any games in the spring. But you can see the trajectory, I think, maybe play out in terms of, is the team trending in the right direction? We had to pay Mike for his 10-win season. It's a simple fact. We didn't want to have to start over with a new coach. That would have been a disaster. You've seen the Glenn. Yes, I saw the Glenn video where he's running routes. Yeah, saw it. It was funny. He wasn't being covered by any real DB, but good to see. Might have a little athlete right there, And I'm interested to see what freshmen kind of work their way into, some of these rotations. Those are the things that you look forward to, right, in the spring game. Is Are certain players taking the necessary steps to be major contributors? And what freshmen are what freshmen, like, because we saw last year, right? Azariah Thomas, got plenty of opportunity, and you saw him get plenty of opportunity during the season. He may have been the only freshman off the top of my head from last year that really jumped out. But again, wins and losses aren't won, or games aren't won in the spring, in my opinion. And then there's certain players, man, that I'm not even sure should play. Like, if I'm Florida State, Fabian Lovett doesn't take a single snap this spring. No reason to. Zero. Fabo, sit down. I don't need you to take a snap. You've had enough springs. You don't need to take a snap. I need you to be 100% healthy come season time. I would limit Jared versus snaps personally in the spring. We know what you are. There's nothing you're going to really gain other than testing some of our younger offensive linemen, right, in the spring. So I wouldn't play Jared Verse a lot. Hold on, somebody using knocking. Yep, who is it? Somebody want to knock out my door. I can't even have a lunch. Hold on.
I was wondering if it'd be all right if I start setting up.
Yeah, go
Okay,
ahead.
I just didn't want to do anything without your.
No, go ahead. Go for it.
All right, thank you.
If you need, you know how to set everything up?
I mean, once you bring the computer over, maybe I'll
Yeah, if you need something, just let me know.
All right, lovely.
Let's see. What was I trying? I forget what the hell I was talking about. I think I was talking about who should play and who shouldn't play. Yeah. Just some of these guys, man, I would just not play. Now, I would play all the offensive linemen because they got to get that continuity. So even the senior O linemen, like, think about this. Robert Scott, you could say, well, don't play Robert Scott, but think about this for a second. Robert Scott is about to play with an entire new group of O linemen this year. No Dylan Gibbons. We assume Maurice Smith is being pushed down the second string. New right guard. Probably a new right tackle. I mean, the whole old line. Robert Scott's going to be literally the only returning starter. We're assuming. I think that's a good assumption. He probably should play with those guys. In the spring, what position group will you pay to? I pay attention. Well, it depends on what I'm looking for. But mostly when it comes to the spring, I tend to give a lot of attention to the trenches just because I like to see how they're growing. Are they filling out their frames? Is the weight, the strength and conditioning playing a factor? It's one of the reasons why last year I was pretty high, or I thought Pat would have a good season because he had transformed his body. So those things is usually what I pay attention to the most in the spring. Everything else, man, is not really. I don't think you can get a lot out of anything else for the simple fact offenses, defenses aren't going to full throttle because you don't want to hurt players. I mean, yeah. Like, even when I know Trey Benson burst onto the scene in the spring last year, I was still tentative because I felt like it's spring. Our guys really trying to tackle, Now, it turned out to be that Trey, he was everything as advertised after that spring. But, what transfer position do you see us take in the spring? Well, we got to see where the attrition happens at first. That's the big question. Where do I predict? I think I wouldn't be shocked if we lose a couple of linemen. I'm not sure that means that I'm not sure that if that means we take any O linemen. But I think we might lose an O lineman or two. I still think we got to take somebody in that secondary. I still think we need to add some secondary guys. Maybe some. I keep thinking linebacker, but I don't know if there's a linebacker that's going to emerge. But we'll see. We'll see. Maurice Lovelace became a YouTube member. Shout out to Maurice. Okay, when you put it in that context, and if that's the reason why, then it makes a little more sense. He'll most likely justify it anyway this season with the results we all think he should get. Linebackers need to get better. I think linebacker needs better depth. I think your first two guys are pretty good, though. You know? But you bring up linebackers, so that's actually a good point. Like, I'm gonna look and see, has Steven Dix has Steven Dix bounced back? How's he looking after last year? How's Omar Graham looking as a redshirt freshman? You know, some of those guys. I mean, did Blake Nicholson early enroll? I don't remember if he did or not. If he did, I know DeMarco Ward did, though I don't have any big expectations of him. You know, so I'll be paying attention to the linebacking room. Well, I don't think you have to be a paper chasing guy to just want to be paid what you're worth. You know? And at the end of the day, you could love a place. Like, ultimately, if you ask me this, I think this is what made the split up that much more difficult. I don't think Jimbo hated Tallahassee or hated FSU. I think Jimbo wanted FSU to move with a purpose. I think he saw the way college football was moving, and he wanted FSU to be at the forefront of facilities and these things. And I think FSU just wanted to take their time and do it on their own pace, and he wasn't with that. And then again, ultimately, man, guys want to get paid what they feel like they're worth. Not too worried about whether Jordan Travis gains any weight personally. I think Blake would have came in January. I think he would have been in rotation. So Blake didn't early enroll. Okay, see, I wasn't aware. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is it Maurice Smith's first offseason with strong strength and conditioning program? Maurice? No. Maurice was here last year. And the year before. Maurice has been here ever since. You got to remember, Willie Taggart brought in Maurice Smith. So, Maurice has been here since Norvell got here. Bro, I don't know. I think Fitz is going to be the guy, personally. But I really don't know. How likely do you think Travis actually wins the Heisman? For Jordan to win the Heisman, I think somebody's numbers might have to take a hit. And most likely what I mean is in the running game. I think Trey can still do his thing, but that three-headed monster, you might not need that. Instead, what you might need for Travis to go 600-700 yards on the ground, as well as 3,500 yards through the air, something like that, to actually have a legit Heisman shot. But we'll see. What's up, Zay? You know, Zay, you're the only. Shout out to Zay, man. You're the only Miami fan that still shows up around here. Nothing but respect to Zay. He's the only Miami fan that still routinely shows up. The other ones, either they just watch and don't comment, or they don't even show up anymore. So shout out to you. So yeah, I mean, that's, as you see, that's why I don't really haven't been going live. At least I didn't go live this week, and I'm not sure I'm gonna go live next week unless something happens. Because these are the questions we have, right? These are the things that these are kind of the same questions, though. Like, who do we excited to see? You know, and then I'll get a way better feel for like I don't even want to make a too early of too early predictions. Like I'll have a better feel. I just when I see how the team kind of moves. It is. It's the dead period. At least, unless you're Miami or Florida, because they're in such disarray. So it's not a bad thing. It actually means that things are going how they should go. You feel me? So it's not a bad thing what's going on right now. I you much rather it be like this instead of every time you wake up, you've lost your D coordinator, then you've lost your offensive coordinator, then you lose your co-defensive coordinator, no quarterback coach, no wide receiver coach. You know that, and your spring starts in a month or less than a month, and these boys can't even implement an offense. But you expect improvement on the football field next year if you're a Miami fan. That's tough. That's tough. There's no way you can realistically look at that and be like, yeah, things are going smoothly here. No, they don't show up no more, bro. Which I get. Y'all got a lot going on down there in Coral Gables. They gotta focus on home first. I get it. No, he wasn't hurt last year. I know for a fact he wasn't hurt last year because they said he was out playing your boy, Caden Lyles. I know Darius Washington is the one guy that I know has been hurt almost every freaking offseason. I don't think Maurice has been hurt. I just don't think he can gain weight. I don't think he's been hurt, though. Other than LSU and Clemson, is anyone else on the schedule actually good enough to beat us? Or are we just too far ahead of them? Well, every season's different. I personally think Pitt is not a game that we can just look over, per se, as a team. I think Pitt usually is a well-coached football team. And then you can never overlook the rival, because once you overlook the rivals, that's when they're going to surprise you. So you got to take Florida, Miami seriously, even if you're fielding a better team. You got to take them seriously. And then I don't think you don't play Louisville, and I don't think you play NC State. So then what you got, like Wake and somebody, and you got Duke. Now the question is was last year with Duke fool's gold? How did it look in year 2 under Elko? So those are some questions with Duke, but it's Duke, bruh. I'm not worried about Duke personally. Yeah, I'm not worried about Duke personally. That's just me. Like I get it, Duke was a solid football team. Ain't worried about that. He said I'm overlooking Miami and UF. I get it, bro. I get it. Again, we can overlook whatever. Like I say in the past, we can overlook any team we want to. That's Mike Norvell's job to make sure that football team don't overlook anybody, right? What's up, Vontae? I expect LSU to be a war in week 1. And you'll probably get Clemson twice. I just have a hard time. The thing is, you play Miami is one of the last 4 games. Maybe they'll have some stuff figured out by then. I don't know. Yeah, we've never lost to Duke. Yeah, I saw the video. That's how you know Bama knows. Bama knows who the real deal is. Bama knows too. That's why they was doing it. But yeah. I think you know how I said last year, man. I thought the schedule set up extremely well for us because you caught LSU early and they were bringing in a new staff. Hell, I think the schedule, and it's really why I think the LSU game is going to be the hardest game this year because they should be a year better and they're talented. Can't knock LSU. They still a very talented team and they've been hitting the transfer portal hard as well. But the schedule lines up great for us this year because we got some. I mean, I think I said it before. FSU should realistically go undefeated at home this year. So if you can go undefeated at home, come on, man. Plus, it's the ACC, bro. There's not a lot of hard teams in this league. If we're just being honest, there's not a lot of hard teams. Like, I don't know what Wake is gonna be this year, but I don't expect Wake to like. You feel me? So. I will say this about Clemson. They also are bringing a new offensive coordinator. So it's going to be interesting to see what Lincoln Riley's brother, you catch him early, which I believe is a good thing. LSU, I don't think it matters as much as for LSU. LSU should come into next season as a top 10 team as well with a lot of hype themselves. So LSU is going to start the season off the same way Florida State's going to start the season off. Hot, or at least that should be the expectation. LSU won't take Florida State lightly, and Florida State won't take LSU lightly. So I don't think you get the benefit of playing LSU early. LSU is going to come in with expectations, and they're going to be looking to fulfill those expectations, the same as Florida State. Clemson is the team that I think you get early, and that could be a benefit because they're still going to be figuring things out offensively. Riley's in his first year with this quarterback. This quarterback's going to be learning a whole new offense this year. I believe Clemson loses the majority of their O-line. I think that O-line was a veteran group last year. Not sure it's going to be the same next year. Offensively, I think Clemson's going to have a lot of questions to answer. You feel me? Oh, I didn't know LSU was having a week 0 game. I kind of wish we had a week 0 game this year. That's a good thing for LSU. We had that advantage last year. Again, I get it though. They get to maybe work out some kinks in week 0. We talked earlier in the week. Steele and Gaddis were bad hires. You said hold your horses. Now both gone. Charlie Strong too. I'm glad you remember what I said last year. I believe our D-line dominates Clemson's O-line this year. Stay healthy, bro. Just stay healthy. I just hope we don't start the season 2-2. Really just start out the September 3-1 at the worst. 2-2 is a possibility, man. I'm not gonna pretend like it's not. If it's worse, then holy cow, something has gone drastically wrong. If it's worse than 2-2, somebody got hurt, or multiple people got hurt. Because those other 2 teams in the first 4 games aren't what. One is Southern Miss, I think, and the other one Wake. I'm not too sure, but no, we shouldn't be no worse than 2-2. But 2-2 is a possibility, and that's what happens when you play good teams. You're playing LSU and Clemson in the first 4 games. Let's not act like it's not a possibility. It's absolutely a possibility. And guess what? It doesn't mean Florida State still can't have a good season. I think the floor for next year should be 9-3. I think if you replicate what you did this past season, will it be a disappointment? Yep. Will people be disappointed? You know it. But that doesn't mean it's a bad season. Doesn't mean it's a bad season. But that should be the floor. 9-3 should be the floor. 9-3 means, you lost maybe the first 2 games in that 4-game stretch, and then you dropped another game along the way, I guess. I say, damn, it's okay if all the teams on our schedule are good. We will just be better. I don't think they're all good, though. Yeah, you're right, Paul. Got to stay healthy. Almost forgot that. Miami player Antonio Jackson, safety, asked for. Yeah, I saw that too. Again, man, that whole program, that stuff going on in Miami is, man. Zay, hey, bro, y'all wanted Mario. I hope it works out for you. If I'm being honest with you, Zay, if you're still listening, and I know you're the only Miami fan that be interacting anymore. If it wasn't for Ruiz, bro, if I'm being 100% honest with you, if it wasn't for Ruiz, Mario wouldn't have a chance in hell. But because Ruiz seems determined to buy his way or pay his way into college football relevancy, hey, when you throw money at the problem, you may eventually hit. You feel me? So we'll see what happens. As long as Mario has Ruiz behind him, we'll see. But outside of that, bro, I don't know. If you gave Manny Diaz these resources, he probably would be doing better than what Mario's currently doing. But y'all told me Mario was the guy. Only problem is in football, attrition is a factor. If you play full throttle every weekend, it starts to fatigue. Well, look, bro. At the end of there's a lot of luck, bro, that comes in with like competing for national championships. Injury luck is one of those. And a lot of it has to do with how hard, I guess, you playing. Like, if you go look at the 2013 team, that team was so lucky injury-wise. But I also think it had a lot to do with the fact that they didn't have to play guys in the second half of games. To your point, they didn't have to go full throttle every weekend because by halftime, it was 49-0. So, yeah, I mean, at some point, I guess, you got to maybe start blowing some of the teams out so you can have those breaks. So, like you said, you're not full throttle every week. Hurricane Millie says, cap. What are we capping to? That Zay's the only interactive one? I mean, Millie, I ain't seen you here in a minute now. You commented on something not too long ago, but what are we capping to? Or are you capping that I say Mario is, I don't know. So the first 4 games, LSU, Southern Miss, and BC. And BC, yeah, BC's losing their best receiver and Flowers. That quarterback is gone. I don't know what BC got. I don't expect anything from that team if I'm being honest with you. Honestly, did some research on the new DC. His strengths are weaknesses. Third down, run stopping, and big plays. Okay, I don't want to sound like a hater, Zay, but I'm going to say this. And maybe this is a good hire. I don't know. What I do know is this man has coached since 1994, if I'm not mistaken. This is his first Power 5 opportunity. The man has gone from high school and like his alma mater like 3-4 times in his coaching career. He's coached under Taggart a couple times, I think. I mean, I'm just saying, bro. It's going to be the same thing I said about Steele to a certain degree. If this guy was that guy, hell, Saban just had a DC vacancy. Why did they contact this dude? Auburn just hired a whole new staff. Why didn't they contact this dude? If this guy was that guy, why has no other power? Why hasn't even a decent group of 5 team ever reached out? That would be my question. But if he's good, he's good. If he's not, we'll see. Do you watch The Hot Seat? Yeah, I know. I watch Smoke. Good channel. A very underrated channel. I've been watching Smoke for a while. As far as Anton Jackson, I wish nothing but the best. That won't be his only girlfriend in life. Y'all keep saying that. I don't know how true the girlfriend thing is. If he ends up at ECU, obviously it's true. If he doesn't, then, we'll see. I agree with you, though. If he's following a female, good luck to the young man. Mario Cristobal is scattered all over the place. No continuity. Spells a dysfunctional team. Miami is like a hyperactive kid jumping all over the place. I don't know what they are. What they are is a dysfunctional program. But we'll see what they do. They move very quickly on the defensive coordinator hire. I'm interested to see what they do offensively. For TVD's sake, I hope they bring somebody that's like Rhett Lashley. Personally, that's when the guy had his most success. I think TVD's kind of screwed either way because the man's going to be learning a third playbook in 3 years. I don't know any quarterback that succeeds like that. I mean, look at James Blackman. Like, if Miami wants to know how this thing ends up, I honestly think what Miami's going through right now, I honest to God believe what Miami is going through right now, all you have to look at is Florida State from like 2018 to 2020. Like, seriously, y'all are making a lot of the same mistakes that we did. The only difference is you have this $40 billion lawyer who's willing to front the bill. That is literally the only difference. Literally the only difference. But we'll see. I don't disagree, but I can't call a 9-3 season a bad season, though. And then every season's also different. Again, injuries play a big part. But I don't necessarily disagree with that statement. I don't know how y'all come up with the girlfriend BS. LOL, kind of weird that people know about 17-year-olds love life. That's Miami thing. That's the excuses that he's following a girl. Again, if he doesn't go to ECU, then y'all just made that up or a rumor mill. It's always you know how these college things go. Everybody knows. Everybody has a source. Everybody knows. There's always an excuse as to why a kid wants out. Either his grades were bad. It's always it can't just be, hey, that man don't want to be here. Man, we got a couple Canes in here again. Shout out to Hurricane Millie. Mario made bad hires and now is trying to backtrack. Spring ball is 3 weeks and we don't have an OC, wide receiver coach, QB coach, and now linebackers coach. I'm glad you're saying it, Zay, so I don't have to. That's my whole point, bro. That's my whole point. Only QB who succeeded with multiple OCs is Justin Herbert. And Justin Herbert was a talent. I don't think he was I think he was a 3-star coming out. I could be wrong. So it's not like Justin Herbert was a highly recruited guy, but that doesn't mean he wasn't a talent. Some talent slips through the cracks, as we've talked about. Herbert was a talent, obviously. Look at him in the NFL. I think talent can trump coaching in most instances, absolutely. But when you've got TVD, who's a fringe talent, who probably looked better in Lashley's system than he really was, then gets in Gatta's system and looks completely lost, you're not doing the fringe talent guys any. And that was James Blackman was the same way, a fringe talent, where in the right system, he could have looked really good. But when Black is getting a new OC every year, you saw the outcome there, right? I think TVD's in the same boat. I don't know if you can tell me that TVD is vastly more talented than James Blackman, if we're being 100% honest. I don't think that's a wild take. And I think it showed last year. If he was a talent, if he was that talent, the coaching change would have affected him, but TVD wouldn't have looked like what he looked like that. TVD looked like he forgot how to throw a football. And this is before he got hurt. TVD looked like he forgot to throw a football. Like basic throws, this dude was sailing over tight ends' heads, throwing to the other team. Like, it looked bad. So, your talent can trump coaching if you have the talent. Justin didn't improve under Mario. Herbert talent definitely trumped coaching because he survived Cuban Jesus. He needs a I Survived documentary. Cuban Jesus has torn TVD to the ground, and Garcia got up out of there. And I'm telling you right now, they got to nail this OC hire, because if TVD looks anything like he looked last year, they don't have a quarter. There's no Jake Garcia. You're going to go back to Jacuri? Cool. Because after Jacuri is this 3-star, 600th ranked quarterback that they be toting out there. The quarterback room, in 1 year, Miami's quarterback room probably went from, if we're just being honest, this time last year, you would argue Miami had the strongest quarterback room in the state of Florida. You had a potential Heisman guy in TVD who was coming off a very good freshman campaign. You had a top 100 quarterback in Jake Garcia waiting in the wings. You had a 4-star dual threat who you didn't know what he was, but you didn't expect him to play year one. You could groom him and mold him to be what you needed him to be. Fast forward a year, Jake's gone. TVD's a shell of himself. We've seen Jacuri in action. He ain't much of a thrower. He can run the ball. Ain't much of a thrower. And the guy you just brought in, he may be a talent, but he's not going to be an immediate impact guy. You're going to need to sit him a year or two before you get him on the field. Kane said, remember Philadelphia had the dream team with Vince? That's what Miami reminded me of last season with dream coaching staff. Honestly, I hope Mario gets the guys on track. What names are you watching out for in the spring? So I'm going to be looking to see let's on offense. I'm going to be looking to I want to see what's the starting unit with the offensive line, first and foremost. That's what I want to see. Who's getting the nod in the starting unit? Secondly, I'm going to see. I don't quite care who the third back is, if I'm being honest. I want to see how many snaps they try to integrate Hakeem in, because he's in a crowded room. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of eyes on Winston Wright to see how he's moving after a year off and breaking his leg or whatever. And then defensively, I want to see if Pat has gotten stronger, because that's ultimately going to go into if he has a breakout sophomore campaign. So I'm going to be looking at Pat. I'm going to be paying attention to those freshman D tackles or the younger D tackle group. The Farmer had gotten better, but also the Bishop Thomases, the Tafasis, and Tavius Woody. I want to check them out. I want to see what Gilbert Edmond looks like. If you notice, man, the theme is I just pay attention to them trenches, bro. Everything else is kind of like, I don't think you gather a lot from it. Yeah. I mean, I'll probably look at some of the younger DBs just to see, again, how they move and react. But I'm going to pay attention to them trenches, man. I thought Charlie Strong and Steele were past their prime. Gaddis was an unknown. I wholeheartedly admit that Gaddis was an unknown, but I always question how Gaddis and TVD mix. And again, I guess I was a lucky guess on my part that Gaddis TVD mix, they were oil and vinegar. But the other guys, the Steels and the Strongs, again, I thought Strong was a good hire as a linebacker coach. I compared Strong to Randy Shannon for us. I thought they are the same. People told me I was crazy, Miami fans. Man, Strong way better than Randy. And, I mean, to Strong's credit, though, he recruited very well the linebacker position for y'all this offseason. He's a better recruiter than Randy, for damn sure. To his credit, I'll give him that. Brock Glenn, the wide receiver, no. As far as Gaddis, I think about it because we didn't. Who gets rid of Broyles Award winner? I personally say I thought y'all should have given Gaddis one more year, but that's my opinion. Because you're doing your quarterbacks no favors. I feel like Atkins would get the O line right. The season might get worse. I see no signs of growth. It's almost spring ball. You have a new DC, and your offense is nothing to study. Like, what is the philosophy and the culture down there? What up, Shamar? Looks like I was wrong about Norvell. We'll see. And Brock Glenn might surpass Duffy on the depth chart. I won't want to jump that far, Panama. Jesus, we ain't. We saw Brock Glenn run some routes. We ain't seen him spin the football yet. Let's relax. Don't worry though. We'll see him in the spring. Personally, I want to see. I agree. I didn't think he was that athletic either. I want to see ones versus twos. That's the big thing for the spring, and that's probably where we'll end. But the big thing for the spring for me is we have enough depth. We shouldn't be doing any of that stupid celebrity play calling junk we've been doing. I don't like the idea of a draft personally. I know it's a fun thing for the kids. I don't like it. I want to see the ones versus the twos. Period. Now that we got enough depth, I need to see my starting defensive line against. I think that's how you get the twos better. I want to see ones versus twos, and let's line it up. That's how I feel. I agree, Polk. Everybody should have came back. All of them. I don't disagree. Just for continuity purposes, and if this offense would have struggled this year, then you could have got rid of Gaddis. You feel me? But what you did this year, you paint you not only do you put your players in a compromising position, Zay. What are you gonna do if this offensive coordinator struggles year one? Because you've already set a precedent. So now this offensive coordinator has to be lights out. It's just that those type of things aren't smart. But they've been writing Duffy off for the past year. I don't know why, man. They don't like Duffy. What up, Dan Squatch? Yeah, you know I tried, man. All right, buddy's being weird. I'm just gonna block you. Thanks for showing up, though. And ask me if I've ever been hypnotized. I'm good, dog. I'm good. You ain't finna hypnotize me and have me doing crazy stuff. Ones versus ones and twos versus twos, in my opinion. Nope. I respect that, Tyler, but nope. I want my ones versus my twos get better from playing my ones. I want my and I kind of I understand what you're saying, right? Put you good on good, ones versus ones, but I need my twos against my ones and vice versa, because that's how you get your twos up to speed. And you might even find out some of your twos might be better than some of your ones. It's kind of like, if you played high school ball, they would do in the spring, they would do the JV versus the varsity. That's kind of what I want to see. You know what I'm saying? That's just me, though. When that NCAA come out, put your PlayStation name on display. I'm out ass whoopings. Man, I don't know what buddy was talking about, Maurice. Boy asked me if I've been hypnotized. I think Duffy is going to be way better this year in the spring and pass tape. We don't get a chance to see it. They always writing Duffy off for some reason. Maybe because Kenny brought him in here. I don't know. My personal opinion, I think Duffy's the starter when Travis leaves. I do think he jumps tape, and think he's the starter when Travis leaves. Personally, I heard what the word from the Fire Mark Norvell crowd about. They have been mysteriously quiet. A lot of the comments that I used to get, if you go check some of my old videos, if you go check from Go check videos after we lost to like Wake Forest, after we went on like that 3-game skid. Go check my videos and go check the comment section and go check how the haters were in those comments. They have been quiet, almost as quiet as the Miami fans. It's been crazy. Okay, no sir. If that happens, oh buddy. Chiefs or Eagles? My head tells me Eagles. If you ask me who the better football team all around, offensive defense, it's the Eagles. I think the Chiefs win though, so I got the Chiefs. But I have no skin in this game. I don't care who wins. And again, I think the better football team is the Eagles, but I got a feeling the Chiefs win it. So that's just me. But yeah, man, I'm gonna go ahead and did a good hour with y'all, man. Appreciate y'all who came in and kicked it with me on lunch break. And just want to touch base, man. Just want to touch base. As you can see, we kind of rehash the same talking points at this time. So until some news hits, I don't really be knowing what to talk about. And that's kind of what I do over here. I react. I mean, at its core, I react to Florida State news. That is kind of what this channel is. Games, breaking news. We just give my opinions on it. When nothing's happening, because we're doing everything right, there's nothing to talk about. Now I got to come up with some talking points, which I'm fully capable of doing. I just don't want to rehash the same talking points over and over and over. So I might do something tomorrow night as like a Super Bowl thing. Just talk some, like some of that stuff we do with Jerg and them is more geared to just talking football in general, not necessarily Florida State stuff. You feel me? So be on the lookout for some of that stuff. But let me get out of here, man. I hear people coming in the building, so they're going to start asking questions. And I got to mitigate. So, all right, y'all. I'll holler at y'all next time, man. I'm out here.